Well, good morning. Thank you all very much for that. Listen, I want to get into my remarks and actually say something about Ted Poe in a minute. However, because we have the media here, I would like to start out just for 1 minute on a different topic. As people in the Houston area as well as people along the Gulf Coast know, Tropical Storm Nicholas will be coming across the state of Texas, beginning in South Texas and working its way up to the Houston area. The state of Texas began preparing for this days ago, making sure that we were mobilizing all the supplies and support and resources that were needed by all the different local officials in all the various regions. I've spoken to the Harris County judge as well as county judges up and down the entire Gulf Coast to make sure that we're working collaboratively to make sure that at the local level we will be prepared for whatever the storm may bring in. Importantly, for the people who live in Harris County as well as other counties around this area, we do expect this to be a very heavy rain event, a heavy rain event that can lead to flooding and high water levels on roadways. As always, whenever we experience anything like that, we urge people to use great caution whenever they're driving along the roads. You remember the phrase, turn around, don't drown. It seems like every time we have heavy rain in the Houston area, there are people who do drive into high water, and they sometimes lose their vehicles and even worse, sometimes lose their lives. Your life is the most important thing that you have. Be cautious as you travel about the Houston area in the Harris County area for the next few days. Listen to local weather alerts and heed local advisories about the right and safe thing to do, and you'll make it through this storm just like you have many other storms. Speaking of storms and using that as a transition, we are facing a storm in Houston, in Harris County, in the state of Texas, as it concerns a dramatic rise in crime. I want to thank Judge Poe, you can call him judge, congressman, whatever his title is. I was a judge here in Harris County at the same time that Judge Poe was a judge here. I know for a fact there is no more qualified person to talk about criminal justice in the Harris County area than Judge Ted Poe. Thank you very much, Judge, for everything that you've done. Also want to express my gratitude for Dave Welch, for the Texas Pastor Council, as well as all the community leaders that we have here for your involvement. Listen, I know you all have been involved in a multitude of issues for years now, but your involvement in this issue about crime and criminal justice in this region is more important than ever and needed now more than ever before. As I will be explaining to you here shortly, the state is stepping up and addressing the rising crime, and we are using every tool that we have to ensure criminal justice in this region and across the entire state of Texas. That said, what the state does is it responds to crime-based issues that occur. The better approach than responding to crime is to get ahead of the curve and to prevent the crime. There is no better crime prevention tool than good parenting. We need to get back to the social fabric of what will improve our communities. We need better parenting, greater parental involvement. We need to restore God in our communities. If we do that, we will be able to reduce crime in this region. Now, to put this in context, let me just tell you what I know you already know, and that is there has been a substantial increase in crime of all different kinds. There's been an increase in aggravated assaults, an increase in domestic violent crimes, and worst of all, homicides in Houston have increased by more than 30% this year alone. Lives are being lost because the criminal justice system in Harris County is not working the way that it should. Now the deal is, there are some clearly identifiable reasons why this is happening. So another way to say that is it's kind of easy to diagnose the causes for the increase in crime in the Houston area. One is what I already mentioned, and that is an erosion in family values. Another that we've seen arise over the past 2 years in Texas, in Harris County, but also across the United States, there is increasing disrespect for law enforcement, disrespect for authority. It has grown quite aggressive against law enforcement. At the same time, there has been lax enforcement of laws by prosecutors. And then worse, something that we will delve into even greater today, and that is there has been a revolving jailhouse door because of lax bail policies. And here in Harris County, more so than any other place I've seen in the state of Texas, you're facing a crisis that is a consequence of having elected a lot of judges to the bench in Harris County who ran as Democrat socialists. These Democrat socialist judges, they do believe in letting people out of jail as opposed to keeping people in jail. And that's why you have more criminals, convicted criminals, who are back out onto the streets endangering public safety. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the Texas legislature has worked to reinforce law and order in Texas. We've seen this dynamic across the country over the past year or so about the defund the police movement. You've seen it in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Portland, in Seattle, in Chicago, in Minneapolis, and New York. And unfortunately, we even have seen it here in Texas with Austin, Texas, defunding the police. Let me tell you something about Texas. In Texas, we respect our law enforcement officers. We will not demean or defund them. We will not allow cities in Texas to defund the police, and I am so proud of our state legislature for passing a law that prevents cities in Texas from defunding our police. They will get the money and resources they need to do their job. You may recall last year also in particular, we saw protests against police officers, but not just at that one time. We have seen this increased hostility and aggression against law enforcement officers. So we also passed laws that crack down on protesters who attack or threaten law enforcement officers. At the same time, we added more tools and resources and training for our law enforcement officers to make sure that they are up to date on having the best ways that they can keep their community safe. And then we come to one of the most horrific and challenging crimes that we're dealing with these days, and that is human trafficking, which is a particularly pernicious crime in the Harris County area. And I'm proud to tell you that because the legislature passed, I signed 9 laws this session cracking down on the crime of human trafficking. Also, as Ted Poe made reference to, we are also corralling crime that is associated with Biden's open border policies. We've been going after not just the human trafficking that's occurring because of the open border policies, but you have smuggling, you have gangs, you have weapons that are being brought in, and drugs, especially the deadly fentanyl drug, that's wreaking havoc in the state of Texas. To address this, we formed Operation Lone Star, where we are deploying thousands of Texas National Guard and Department of Public Safety officers to go down there and apprehend people who are coming across the border illegally, but also to arrest and jail people who come across the border and are trespassing. We are setting an example that's different than the Biden administration example. The Biden administration example is to roll out the red carpet for people who may be coming across the border. Their policy is to catch and release. Our policy is different. We've adopted a new policy that the state legislature embraced and provided funding for. The policy in Texas is to arrest and to jail people who are coming across the border illegally and trespassing, and we have arrested and jailed more than 5,000 people already, and you can expect that number to go up very meaningfully. Now, we also passed laws to directly address a serious crime issue in Houston, Texas, more so than any other part of the state of Texas, and that is to address a broken bail system. You have revolving door releases of dangerous criminals back out onto streets who then go commit even more crimes. The Texas legislature passed a law to fix the broken bail system and to keep dangerous criminals behind bars. The name of the law they passed is the Damon Allen Act. Damon Allen was a Department of Public Safety trooper who was killed in the line of duty on Thanksgiving Day back in 2017. Trooper Damon Allen was shot and killed during a routine traffic stop by a previously arrested and convicted criminal who was out on bail but should not have been out on bail. The Damon Allen Act makes it harder for dangerous criminals to be released from jail on bail. It also creates a statewide information system to provide judges considering bail with the criminal history of the person who is up for bail. The reason why we did this is one reason why Damon Allen lost his life is because the magistrate who was considering bail for the person who killed Damon Allen did not have access to the criminal history that may have allowed the judge to keep the killer behind bars as opposed to releasing him. The law also provides enhanced training and education for all magistrates who set bail. And it adds accountability for judges who release dangerous criminals on bail. Now I'm about to do something y'all may have never seen before. I'm going to sign this law in front of you right here today. This is one of those laws that was an emergency item that I set during the regular legislative session. And because the Democrats broke quorum at the end of the regular session, this bail reform bill did not get across the finish line, and it did not get across the finish line during the first called special session. However, this is one of those bills where I said I was going to call special session after special session after special session until we get it passed. And in the most recent special session, they finally got this bill passed to my desk, and I have brought it with me here today to be signed right here in Houston, Texas. Before I sign this bill, however, I would like to call up to the stage and recognize Casey Allen. Casey Allen is the widow of Damon Allen. She has been instrumental in making sure this law became a reality. And at this time, I would like Casey to come up to the stage and share a few words with you.